Good evening everyone and welcome to Formula Sim Series. It's round 7 out of 8 this season 7 for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So yeah, we're here in Bahrain, 7 races into this 8 race long season, and if my commentary isn't prepared, then I hope the drivers are more prepared than I am. Unfortunately, Indigo's not here tonight. He's got some personal issues, so we send our best wishes to him. And yeah, it's the crunch time of the season, if it wasn't already. It's a crucial point for the protagonists at the top of the championship standings, including this man, Jensen, who I believe is currently top of the drivers' standings. By 1 point, he's on 78 points, and FPR Bowling is 1 point behind him. And then it's Tom Roberts. No, it is Tom Roberts in the lobby, who is just 3 points behind Jensen at the top. So it's very close. 3 drivers win 3 points. And then there's a bit of a gap behind to the likes of Santeri, Joey and Andrea, who haven't reached the 40-point mark just yet. Jensen's just invalidated on his lap. He did go purple in the middle sector. I didn't see how much it was up. I know his time at the moment is on the medium tyre. At the moment then, we've got Askicum, who is top of the leaderboard with a 25.760 on the soft tyre. We've also got Tom Robert up there and Joey RC. And yeah, last time out it was in Portugal. Bowling got the win there. And it was Facilio who finished second with a pretty wacky strategy call, you must say. Went very long in the soft tyre and had the tyre advantage towards the end on the medium tyre. And he made the strategy work, came home in P2. We also had Jensen coming home in P3. Tom Robbo did actually lose some ground in the championship, as there's pretty sure it's a Haas going quite wide there. But yeah, we'll have a look at Askicom now, who's just went on to his lap. He's just half a tenth down in the first sector as he negotiates for the second sector. This track is, I believe, 3.3 miles long, 5.4 kilometres with 15 turns. And Askicum going out of, I believe that's turn 10. Gets a bit of traction there. We'll now find out very shortly what how much he is up or down this time as he goes to the split. He's just over half a tenth up, so gained a tenth through the middle sector. It's a bit squirrely coming out of there. Joey, just on his out lap, gets out the way perfectly for him. Now into the final corner, clips the apex, gets a good run out of there. He comes across the line now, and it's a 25.619. He's just over a tenth and a half clear of Tom Robbo, who's also up in the first sector. So Tom Robbo is quite pretty at the top of the leaderboard. I believe someone else. There's also a Mercedes coming around to the final corner. I think that's Harmy's not on a lap, as I'm aware. And yeah, he just goes to the pits. There's a yellow flag on that straight. I'm guessing someone running out of fuel, probably in McLaren. Yeah, Tom has lost time, and he's also had a bit of a bad exit through there. Mid-corner, got some oversteer. It's not ideal for him, so I think he definitely has lost time there. And we'll see now as he comes around the final corner. And Tom then decides to go into the pit lane and abandons that lap. We'll also go on board with Joey RC, who's in the first sector was half a tenth down. And now he is just over a tenth up, so this could be a very good lap from Joey. And obviously if you stay tuned to the channel, you'll know that there was the Formula Sim Series Champions Cup race last night. It was also around Bahrain. Joey didn't have the best of luck in that one. Had a collision on the first corner with his teammate, actually. He improves by over a tenth and slots into P3 there, over a tenth and a half behind Askicom. I believe Jensen is onto a lap now, as he's just in the middle sector. Obviously he's improved a lot in this time, so we can't really gauge where he is in comparison to Askicom just yet. So he's half a second up on his medium lap, and now he's 1.2 seconds up now, so yeah, I don't think that's too bad a lap. Obviously he's going to gain more time, so it could be looking quite nice for Jensen here as he goes through the final corner. The run to the line, let's see where he can get. Opens the DRS, and Jensen goes into first by 1/1000ths of a second. Jensen is in first place now. There's also Artemello and Zayn who are on laps. Let's have a look at Artemello first, the Brazilian in the house. He's also up on his medium lap, I believe, so we'll see where he can put himself up, perhaps into the top 10s. He's now 1.3 seconds up now. That's an alright exit out of there, the Brazilian driver. Now comes to the final corner, nice and late. I think he scuds a bit of speed in the mid corner as he now comes to the line. It's going to be a 1:26.1, which puts him into 10th place. Let's go on board with Zayn, who actually invalidated his lap, unfortunately for him. I think he will be coming into the pit lane. TB Hyper now is actually reserved in the league. Don't think he had the best time in his medium lap. That's a few seconds off the pace for him there, as he might have touched the inside curb or tried to swerve to avoid it. It's a nasty curb it is. If you go anywhere near it, touch it, it will spin you round. So yeah, I think TB Hyper lost a lot more time than you'd want to on that corner. Okay, yeah, there's Jensen there going to the pit lane. TB Hyper continues on his lap, and he comes across the line. 26.5, it's P15 for him provisionally. There's Ewan that's gone onto a lap as well. He hasn't put in a time lap so far this session, so we'll see where he can get with this. Misses the apex in the corner there of turn 11. And we'll have a look, see where he can get. I think it's going to say purple for every driver, I've just realised. He goes a bit wide, doesn't invalidate though, which I think is fair. I don't think he gained any time like that, so we'll see what he can get coming across the line. I get the feeling he probably won't make it into the top 10 now, with that little off there. And as Ewan comes across the line, it's P15 with 26.4. There's a few drivers coming out the pit lane for their final laps of the session. There's a Red Bull and a Mercedes that are coming across the line now. I believe that's the start of their laps. Yeah, that'll be Tom, Robert and Daniel. We'll go on board with Darragh Smith, who I believe it's his first race in the league today. So hopefully he can go off to a good start. And, yeah, currently in P12, this time at 26.3. And let's see if he can improve on that time now. As he's just shy of 4/10ths up on this time. She'll yeah, put him firmly into the top 10, I think, if he can sustain this time coming around the final corner, or corners should I say. As yeah, he does go around the final corner, gets a bit of oversteer, and yeah, he comes into P7. We'll have a look. Oh, as Andrea goes quickest with a 25.5. The next car is the Red Bull. I think this is Tom, who, yeah, he's just over a 10th and a half up now, the Parnell Racing driver. Now we'll see. Tom, does he get a good exit? That's pretty alright, I would say. And now as he comes to the line, will it be pole for Tom? It is provisionally, it's a 0.4. I think the next car is the AlphaTauri. It might be Joey, he's just going on to a lap. Then there's the, I believe that's Ferrari of Zayn. He just starts his lap, I think. There's a few more cars that have gone over. I think that's Bolin, perhaps. So yeah, he's done for the qualifying session. Jensen just manages to get over the line. Asticum now is just going to improve on his lap, I think, as he's now 2 tenths up, which at the moment would put him onto pole, but he invalidates on the outside of the corner there. That's unfortunate. We'll have a look at Joey. Taylor's just gone into P6. Joey now in the middle sector. Noah goes into P5, drops Tido to P7. My apologies for that. Joey then will stick on board with him. I believe there's G Chalkers who goes into the pit lane. But Joey then, what can he do? He's had a pretty alright season for from his point of view. He's had a few good points finishes, a good few battles. And we'll see, he takes the esports line out there, maximising the track, coming into the final corner. Can Joey improve on 8th position? As he now comes to the line, opens the DRS. It is in the wall for Joey. He doesn't improve. We'll go on board to Jensen, who, yeah, he's 2 tenths up, so Jensen could ruin the party then for Tom Robbo. As he now comes to the line, will it be pole for Jensen? Yes it is, by just under a tenth of a second. I don't know whether Tom or Andrea can do anything about it, and it's pole for Jensen in Bahrain, who actually gets a point for pole as well, so his margin at the top of the standings goes up to 2 now, as he's on 79 points instead of 78. And yeah, pole for Jensen, it's a 25.4, and yeah, that's a very good lap from Jensen there. So there's the split. It's very close throughout the whole pack, and yeah, Jensen in the McLaren is on pole. It's also worth mentioning that in the constructors it's not as close as the driver's standings is, but there is a gap from Red Bull to McLaren. Obviously there's Tom Robbo and Noah in the Red Bull, and the Dutch Missile and Jensen, who the Dutch Missile isn't racing tonight unfortunately, but I don't think that would matter anyway, you'd agree with me. Jensen's getting a lot of points for that team, and yeah, he takes the gap down to 23 points from Red Bull to McLaren now. And there's also Haas as well, with our Bolin and Shizu Simon, who are on 77 points, and they're now 25 points behind Red Bull also. So yeah, we'll just wait for Tom Robbo to retire, and we'll bring you the results from this qualifying session. Very competitive. We changed the top person in the leaderboard. Solid, must have been 4 or 5 times. It was very competitive, very quick, and it's that man Jensen on pole from his championship rival Tom Robbo. Bolin is down in P6, which isn't ideal for him. Every time he's raced this season he's won, which is a pretty amazing stat. He's only raced 3 times, he's won 3 times, but he starts from P6. Andrea also gets up there in P3. He's currently 7th in the standings, so he's looking to leapfrog the likes of Isma and Santeri, who aren't racing tonight. Ascacom is in P4, and I'll just quickly scroll down to the bottom there. So 18 drivers racing tonight. Zane didn't actually get a soft lap in at the end, so he must have had a bit of an error somewhere. But yeah, this looks set to be a very interesting race, must be said. Obviously it's dry, that's one hurdle out of the way, but it'll be interesting to see what the tyre strategy is as well. Can we see perhaps one of the crazy long soft runs from the likes of Facilo from last week? Be very interesting, hopefully. So yeah, we'll wait for all the drivers to get their formation lap underway. So then, let's see what tyres people are on. As you'd imagine, everyone outside the top 10 is on the medium tyre. So yeah, there's some quick names in outside the top 10, so we'll be looking at them to see how far they can get up the order. So we're not going to see anything like Eltink did last night, KJ Eltink. Started on the soft tyre from the back, didn't participate in quali, and on the first lap by, I'd say about this part in the track, he was up into P6 and ultimately got into P2 on the soft tyre by the end of his stint, which was pretty impressive from him. But yeah, we're not going to see that today, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a very important race for Jensen. He got P3 last week in Portugal, lost some ground to Bolin, and say Bolin down in P6. Every point matters, even the pole point is very important, and he's got that here. I'd imagine he's probably not going to get the fastest lap point unless it goes very wrong. Very difficult to get a good result in the top 10 and also get the fastest lap point, but we'll wait and see for that as the drivers are now coming round this part of the circuit. We'll wait for them to line up onto the grid for one of the more important race starts of the season. It's fairly easy to overtake around here. 3 DRS zones that you can use to your advantage. But yeah, obviously it's a very important run into turn 1 and that first sequence of corners. The whole first sector you can really run side by side. It's a very fun racing track, it must be said. And as they now line up onto the grid, it's Jensen in P1, Tom Robbo in P2 and Andrea in P3. FER Bolin's down in P6, he'll be looking to get up. And we're about to get underway for round 7 here in Bahrain. The penultimate race of the season. The 5 lights are on. And it's lights out and away we go. And I think Tom Robbo gets a great start. He's now side by side with the McLaren going into turn 1. Will Tom Robbo be able to outbrake Jensen? Jensen hangs it round on the outside, but Tom Robbo goes into the lead then. And Jensen now down to P2, Andrea in P3. Now I don't think Jensen's close enough to challenge into the 4th corner. And he now slots in behind Tom Robbo. We'll look behind. I think there's been a collision with G-Chalkers there. He's a long way back. Joey RC then has just been overtaken by Harmon. I think he's in a bit of a battle with him. Then going into turn 8, Harmon on the inside. Will Joey look to get the switch back? I don't think he's able to, as he just clips the rear end there. I think Bolin's trying to get past Noah, which is actually quite important because Noah is Tom's teammate. They worked very well as a team, had some very good team performances this season, and this is important because if Noah can keep Bolin behind, that could be very important for Tom, but Bolin does get past in the end. But as I say, at the front, it's Tom Robbo who leads from Jensen and Andrea. We'll have a look at the positions changed. I think it's somewhere around here. There it is. And yeah, this big gain from Harmon actually. Gets up by 3 positions. Artemello and Chalkers have lost a few positions there. It's very close throughout the pack. But as we go on to the 2nd lap then, we'll see if there's going to be any moves into turn 1. I'm not sure there will be. So very quick part of the track. There's, I'd probably say, 3 main overtaking spots on the track. Turn 1, turn 4 and turn 11. All at the end of DRS straights. But yeah, it's Jensen's just going to sit behind Tom Robbo, save some ERS, and I guess he's going to attack later on in the race. So we'll keep an eye on Black Box. He is the leading medium running car at this point in time. He hasn't gained any positions from the start. It's just the medium runners and the soft runners in little groups at the minute. But if he can stick within DRS from Darrell Smith, then it makes it very interesting for strategy in the latter half of the race. But we'll go back to the front and have a look. It's still very close. So yeah, here we have Ascicom in P4. We'll go on board the Jensen, who this lap will get DRS behind Tom Robbo. So the DRS detection points just before the final corners there, and for the second DRS it's just in the braking zone, and for the third DRS zone it's before turn 9. So we'll have a look here as Jensen is going to get DRS. We'll turn the telemetry on for the folks who might be race engineering. I hope you enjoy that. As yeah, Jensen gets DRS behind Tom Robbo. And crucially as well, it's actually Black Box who is right on the cusp of being in or out with DRS from Darrell Smith. Black Box is on wheel now, I believe, and he's getting used to wheel. And he's had some very consistent race finishes, really. He's been in the points for most of the races in the league, and fair play to him, because wheel is a very different challenge from being on pad. I respect that. And yeah, he's doing a decent job. Joined us a few races into the season, he's now Joey's teammate, and to say Joey remarks in the chat that him and Black Box could actually still win the Constructors. Very unlikely, but they have some very good finishes, you never know. We'll go back to the front. Just say Tom Robbo isn't able to gap Jensen. He actually goes quite wide there. I'm not sure if he picks up a warning. Assume that he probably hasn't, as Joey actually makes a move on Harman then. Gets better momentum out the final corner, which makes me believe that Harman might have made a mistake, unfortunately for him. But so Joey's now up into P7, Harman drops a position. There was also some movement towards the back. I believe that was TB Piper and Zane, if I was not mistaken. It's also quite close now at the front as Jensen closes to the back of Tom Robbo with the DRS. And yeah, as you say, Black Box is within DRS of Darrell Smith, so that's very crucial for his race. Say from the leader, Black Box is now 5 seconds, so I think you need something like 8 seconds to survive a soft medium strategy to the medium runners, or somewhere around that. I've heard that number before. So yeah, as you say, Black Box gets out of the DRS and doesn't have that, then that would be very crucial for the likes of Tom Robbo and Jensen at the front of the field. So we'll see Jensen's a lot closer on this lap, just under 3 tenths, or just over 3 tenths behind Tom Robbo. So we'll see if he actually makes the move. I think he's going to, as he used some of the DRS, and yeah, it's a fairly easy DRS pass for Jensen going into turn 1, far before the braking zone. Andrea actually has a look as well, perhaps to say that, you know, he isn't scared to get in between them, even though it's not his championship fight. But yeah, as I say, he's got it all to play for, to try and get ahead of Joey, and ultimately to get P4 in the standings, which I can remember he was contesting for that last season. As Joey, talking to Joey, he moves up ahead of Noah there, and he's now up into 6th place. I believe Bahrain's a track that Joey enjoys, and he's enjoying this race so far. He's gained 2 positions and 2 overtakes, and he's now up into P6. So we'll go back to the front. We'll see what Tom Robbo actually does about Jensen being there, because he's saved up his ERS, he hasn't used it, whereas Jensen has used 30% of his, and he's not going to regain it like Tom Robbo will. So maybe that could have been a mistake, overtaking Tom Robbo, but ultimately he was quite close, so we'll have to see how this plays out. But so it's a long race, 29 laps, so there's a lot more that's going to play out. And we'll have a look. I believe there might be a move for P13 here. Yeah, Ewan gets past CPI Daniel going into the braking zone as he gets a little tap actually, but I don't think that's too damaging for him as, yeah, there you go. He makes the move and he's now up into P13, moving up the order. Steph's actually lost ground with Black Box, which is also quite important for the race itself. It's very difficult to catch up to a DRS train. I think most of us would have found that out at some point. And yeah, he's got, I don't know, maybe 7/10 of the game to get into the DRS now, so yeah, it's a difficult one for him. He'll have to work wonders with the strategy to get back in. So yeah, it's got a bit closer here between Andrea Astrakhan and Bolin. So we've got some support in the chat for Artemello from Bruno Diaz, who says, "Come on, Artemello." He's currently down in P17. Had a bit of a collision off the start. I didn't assume, as he did lose places. He qualified in P12. Started on the mediums, but obviously that collision has affected his race quite a lot. Bolin isn't close enough into turn 1 to make the move. Also close enough is Tom Robbo on the back of Jensen, with a superior DRS advantage as well, as TB Hyper now makes a move for P14, and I believe he's going to make that stick as well. So, oh no, it's not, and he's spun. That's a shame for TB Hyper. On that curb, I think it's pretty easy to do that on the curb. We've seen it done before, and yeah, that's unfortunate for TB Hyper there. On the curb, on the outside with turn 3, and it just spins him. His tyres are obviously quite hot now as a result, and he'll have to recover back into the race. Yeah, we'll see at the front here, Jensen with in the lead here from Tom Robbo, who's getting much closer. So by now the soft tyre, I'd imagine, probably isn't going to be as great as at the start. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of weird understeer, oversteer combinations as the tyres begin to drop off. And that's where you'll see the mediums getting better as Black Box now is side by side with Darragh Smith, and going into the final corner Black Box does get ahead, but ultimately I don't know if he got the DRS, and no he didn't, so Darragh Smith is actually going to go straight back past. But this is crucial because they've now lost the DRS to Tito ahead. There's also some further moves back there. Ewan gets past Steph, and Zane gets past CPI Daniel, who's going to look for the switch back here. Some nice racing going on at the back between these medium runners. Both don't have much ERS, and Zane comes out ahead in that battle. And yeah, as you see here, it's the infamous DRS train. But Tom Robbo is getting close, and I think if he really wanted to, he could make the move. But at this point, it makes more sense to stay behind Jensen. And actually, yeah, Darragh Smith does get back into DRS, which is just as crucial for his race as it is for Black Box on the medium tyre. But yeah, you can see the state of the soft tyres. They're not in great nick at the minute. I expect to see a few cars pitting in a few laps' time. We'll see if there's anyone in this lap. Oh no, there is. There's Bolin and Joey and Noah and Harm. Yeah, there's quite a few cars coming into the pits. So let's see if this undercut can work for them. I'd imagine they'll come out behind the medium runners, and they'll have a bit of a gap to have a good outlap, and we'll see then what pace do these soft tyres have left in them. So Tom Robbo is still doing personal best first sectors. I believe Andrea probably would have as well. It's quite easy to with soft tyres in the DRS train. Artemello picks up a penalty there. He's the first person to pick up a track limits penalty, 3 seconds to be added to this time. And we'll see what Jensen, Tom Robbo, Andrea and Asticom decide to do about this, because it could have a big effect on their race. Do they stay out and do the overcut like Facilio did last week and manage to save his race? So Tom is using a bit of DRS, so perhaps he is going to pit this lap. So we'll see now, are they going to pit? Jensen comes in, Tom Robbo comes in also. Tom Robbo actually looks for the move into the pit lane, so does Asticom as well. Tom Robbo last week did actually make a move going to the pit lane. Whether he meant it or not, I don't know, but he isn't able to make the move now. So we will see. Bolin, he's had a good outlap or not. He's just coming up to the back of Chalkers, to be fair, so maybe has a bit of dirty air, but as he comes past the pit lane now, here he is, and he's going to get ahead of at least Tom Robbo. Will he get ahead of Jensen as well as he hangs it around the outside? Joey also gets ahead of Tom Robbo as well, so that's horrible for Tom Robbo. Jensen, I believe, just had a bit of a moment there coming out of the corner. Tom Robbo now goes for the move on Joey. Let's see who's going to come out on top here. Joey has the inside line to the corner. Sticks it out, and Tom Robbo, yeah, is going to make that move. Some very good battling going on as Jensen, and now that's Noah on the inside of Joey. Jensen gets past G Chalkers, who's making an absolute nightmare of these drivers. He's on mediums from the start of the race, so I imagine there's going to be some pretty impatient drivers trying to get past him now. There's Bolin there. There's just goes down the inside, and Tom Robbo just throws the car at that gap on the inside of Chalkers, and he also gets past. We'll see if Noah can as well. He can't find the gap into there, but I imagine he will get past going onto the straight. He gets past, he actually touches the rear end of Chalkers. I think Joey might have just hit Noah as well. Both haven't got that much DRS, so it'll be interesting to see how they can hold up with Tom Robbo, Bolin and Jensen. Oh, hello Andrea, he also gets back past, but Andrea gets hit by Joey. I thought he was about to hit into Noah as well. Noah there on the outside of Chalkers, he gets the move done, I think. Will Joey now get involved in trying to get past Noah as well? And Joey will get past Chalkers, but he's not going to be able to get past Noah there. So Gagler cars behind. And one of the big losers in this is actually Asticom, who's now spun as well. I was going to say about how he's lost ground on Jensen and Bolin. Yeah, that's unfortunate for Asticom. He is really out of the contention for the win unless there's some form of safety car to help him. But yes, in that, Jensen is in the net lead from Bolin, who I'd say did a pretty successful undercut. One lap he split Jensen and Tom Robbo, and if it ends like this with Jensen having the extra point, I believe he would go into the final race of the season with a 9-point advantage over Bolin, which obviously would massively favour him, but there's still 17 laps to go. Potential safety cars, the medium runners. There's a spin in the first part of the track. That is CPI Daniel, I believe, who I guess might have had some contact. It's quite unusual to spin at turn 1 unless there's some form of other car there, so that's unfortunate to him. Asticom is now retired from the session, so he won't be continuing following his spin at this part of the track here. At turn number 5, 6 and 7. So yeah, we'll stay in this region of the track with Jensen, Bolin, Tom Robbo. All three championship contenders in the exact order they lie in the championship at the moment. And yeah, we'll see how they can deal with this traffic as well, because the mediums are probably going to be out for at least another 7 or 8 laps. As Daniel there picks up a penalty. And he might have also spun as well. Oh yeah, he has. That's unfortunate for Daniel. Hasn't had a great lap, has he? As he yeah, spins across the track. That was probably a bit off-putting for the other drivers, but yeah, oh well. Unfortunate for Daniel. Him and Harmon sit bottom of the constructors' standings as Dara gets a penalty now, which further adds to his misery this race. Jensen sets the fastest lap of the race at 29.4. It's quite odd because in real life the fastest lap at the track in a race is a 1:31.4, which is obviously much slower than what these cars are doing. So very realistic game, I must say. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure that was Daniel who would have retired in the pits there, and yeah, it was. So that's his race also over. That's the 2 retirements that we've had this race. No safety cars as of yet, which I believe is pretty uncommon around this track, especially with the walls quite close and a lot of spots where you can spin the car and break off the front wing. Yes. So here's the traffic I was talking about. It's TV Hyper who Jensen's going to get past pretty swiftly into turn number 11. And now it'll be interesting to see, can Bolin get past in the nick of time, because Jensen at the minute, if it stays like this, he can just drive away. I think Bolin's going to get a better exit through here. And we'll see. Tom is quite fond of doing moves where he just goes to the space. We've seen it earlier in this race and also last week. There's a move for the lead there. Ewan gets past Black Box, so he is now the car that is in the net lead with the medium runners. Noah does the fastest lap. Now as Bolin covers the inside, there's a yellow flag, and that's Dara Smith from the corner. And Tom Robbo isn't actually able to get past as he, I don't know if he got front wing damage there, but either way he's lost a lot of time. And yeah, he stays behind TB Hyper, who had a moment on the exit of the corner, and it kind of caused, I'm not sure what the official term is, but TB Hyper went off the throttle as Tom Robbo down the inside. That's a forceful move. I think he does just about make it work. I'm not sure if it was too boisterous for the steward's liking though, so we'll have to see about that. And TB Hyper, his tyres I think are beginning to go, and he's most likely about to be overtaken by Noah also. But no, Noah stays behind for the time being. Yeah, thankfully for Tom Robbo, he hasn't completely lost DRS, because that could have been a disaster for him if he'd stayed behind TB Hyper for much longer. He couldn't wait a few more corners to get past the driver in the Alfa Romeo car. There's a Mercedes that spun, and I'm not sure who that is. I'm guessing it'll be Harmon. Well, no, it'll be Chalkers actually, wasn't it? It was Mercedes, my bad. I believe it might be a move for the lead there. No, it's Bolin. He's just sticking behind Jensen. There's a bit of jostling position going on. There's Noah who's just about got past TB Hyper, and I expect Joey will be trying to get past now as they go into turn 4. Joey on the outside. This will be a great move if he can pull it off. Will he get the better traction? He's on the racing line. Hyper on the inside, gets onto the curb. Joey braves it on the outside, and TB Hyper's actually spun there, so the contact with Joey was much worse than what it looked on the camera, and that's unfortunate. His tyres warm again, he resets the track. But yeah, so next driver coming up that these soft runners will have to pass is Artemello, who's got the support of at least 2 people in the stream. And yeah, they'll be probably catching him within a lap or 2. But yeah, so we'll have a look at the ERS levels as well. Obviously they've had to use it to get past people, so they're not as high as they were at the start of the race. But right now, as I say, Noah is lacking a bit there. Tom Robbo's got the best out of all the drivers there. And we'll see how Jensen can get past Artemello. He's done a pretty good job at passing the traffic here. Black Box and Steph are battling, and yeah, it's actually opened up a lot here. I thought Black Box was clear and dry with the medium strategy, but so Ewan's done a good job to get into the DRS and overtake him. He's beginning to pull away as well, so very good job from Ewan, who, congratulations to him for his PSGL Championship in F7, and he's come here to a no assist league and he's doing alright so far. He's had a P8 finish in Austria. I can't remember what he had last race. I'll have a look now. He didn't actually race last race, so he's just done the Austria race. That makes sense. So yeah, I'll be looking to add to this points collection. So right now we'll be looking good for another points finish for sure. We'll have a look now as Jensen closes to the back of Artemello. And I expect it will be a pretty tame DRS pass into the first corner. And we'll have a look and see if Bowling can get past as well. He's not using his ERS. So yeah, we'll see if he can get a good exit. I think Artemello went a bit deep there, so yeah, he's gone to the curb. Yeah, Bowling is also going to get past. And that leaves Tom Roppo again in pretty awful position where he's gonna have to get his elbows out as Darragh Smith now retires from the session. And that's again, there's someone making a mistake in front of Artemello, who must have had some sort of spin or half spin. So I had to slam on the brakes, and Tom Roppo again nearly went to the back of someone off of another person's mistake. But yeah, he does stay within DRS just about. But I think even if he was out at this point, he'd be able to use it in between the DRS zones to get back in his ERS. Currently a pretty high number considering they're moving through a lot of people. So next people up the road is the likes of Ewan, Black Box, Steph and Zane, who are in the DRS train themselves, so I don't think they'll be catching them as quick, which is a relief for them. But yeah, we'll have an eye on that battle at the front. There's Black Box and Ewan now side by side. Steph looking to get involved, and Zane just holding back there. So now Steph on the outside of the corner. And Black Box there on the inside. And just outbrake and hold the position for now. So it's important to see who's going to be in front at the pit stops. A very important part of the race. Currently got a 4-second buffer to the rest of the field. And that's Jensen, Bolden and Tom Robbo. So yeah, we've got a few drivers who have already pitted onto the soft tyre, like TB Hyper, who sets the fastest lap of the race. There's also Chalkers, who's coming out of the pit lane now, who gonna have a bit of fun, I reckon, battling TB Hyper. So they're both quite far out of the points, so we'll have to see how they do here, as they're going to have a battle into turn 4. Chalkers coming out of the pit lane, TB Hyper makes the move around the outside. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on those two. So obviously the soft tyre is going to be very quick out the box. And we'll also keep an eye on this battle here as Ewan and Black Box and Steph have pitted and Zane stayed out on the 18 lap old tyres. Now as Bolin closes on Jensen, he's on the inside now, going to turn 1, and Bolin makes the move. I'm not sure if he's kept DRS, but no, Jensen's now got the DRS on him. As Bolin moves to defend the inside. Jensen now, can he make the move around the outside? He can, just about, stays within track limits. And yeah, that's a very good overtake, re-overtake by Jensen, who stays ahead of Bolin. There's a few more drivers that have went into the pit as well. Artemello has ditched the medium tyres, 19 laps into this race. But yeah, it's hotting up at the front here. I reckon Tom Robbo is on that much ERS, he's looking to use it. If you can get past Bolin, he's got a clean slate to go and attack Jensen and get back at him for the points that he lost last week. So it's a very crucial part of this race now as they come around in the final sector of the track. Turn 13, they all get a good exit, and let's see, will Bolin make an attack on Jensen to realistically defend himself from Tom Robbo behind. So he's got a lot of ERS, he looks in the mood to race. As Tom Robbo now is using the ERS to try and get past Bolin. They're going to be free ride into turn 1, but no, Tom Robbo chooses to back out, and that's Bolin there who's now into the lead. Tom Robbo's on the outside of Jensen, make sure to not spin on that curb, and now Jensen's actually lost 2 positions off of that. Tom Robbo's now on the inside going into turn 4, and Tom Robbo takes the lead ahead of Bolin and Jensen. That couldn't have went any better for him, and now it's Tom Robbo who is in the lead of the race. Noah picks up a penalty, so yeah, he'll drop back, most likely behind Joey and Andrea. Joey currently in a net P4, so his constructors fight with Black Box probably not on at the minute, unfortunately for him. Let's have a look and see if Bolin can get past Jensen here. In the first lap also, while that was happening, Ewan has, I think, gained probably 3 seconds on Harmon. We'll have a look at the fastest lap as well. It's currently held by TB Hyper, but I'd imagine that the likes of Ewan and Black Box and Steph are going to be putting in their fastest laps of the race as they come across the line now. They're just under 15 seconds behind the front pack as Tom Robbo moves off the line to defend. Doesn't have the inside line, he moves to the racing line as Bolin is in front at the braking zone. And I'm going to guess that Tom Robbo has the DRS to get back at him, so we'll see if he decides to make a move or sit behind. I think he is going to just sit behind, so with 8 laps to go, gets to that point where everyone's going to be preparing for that last lap, saving up the battery and preparing for that one chance to make the move forward to the lead of the race and to overtake the person who is directly in front of them. But yeah, it's a shame for Jensen in particular, because he led most of this race, and now he finds himself in P3 behind his championship rivals. He's going to be losing ground on them. As Tom Robbo moves to the inside and then back to the outside there. That's a message of intent from him. Yeah, say ERS levels are fairly even. I think what Jensen will be looking to do is try and save some of his ERS, because most of this race has been below Tom Robbo and Bolin, and in moments like that, that did cost him quite dearly. So we'll see how we can get back at them. So Ewan and Black Box are still gaining time. I don't think I've seen a new fastest lap. That still goes to TV Hyper, just by under a tenth, or just over a tenth of a second. Pardon. And let's see. Oh, I think Joey might have hit Jensen there. He made the overtake on Murray. He might have just outbroke himself and just tapped the back of Jensen. We did see a bit of a movement by Jensen. I don't think it was his fault. TB Hyper there gets a penalty. And yeah, Joey has had a good race, and he could actually affect the order of the podium here. I don't think he got a great exit out of there and decides to defend the inside. He's got a lot of oversteering. And yeah, we'll see, can he actually overtake Jensen as TB Hyper is retired from the session. He does have the fastest lap, but he at the moment won't be getting the point for it, or he definitely won't be getting the point for it now, as he has retired here. Zane has made a move on Steph there, coming out of turn 10, so the two Ferraris. Zane is a full-time driver, so he'll be looking to add to the points that himself, his teammate at the moment, Simply Shender, and myself and Isma scored at the first part of the season until we both dropped down from the full-time seat. So yeah, hopefully we can try and get into the top 10. Right now the gap between Tigo and Ewan is 2.5 seconds, so it's going to take some effort in the last 6 laps of the race for them to get it. Talking of Tigo, he gets past Harmon. So yeah, the Mercedes on for a good points finish to hopefully try and leapfrog out of the last place in the Constructors. Harmon's done a good job when he's been racing, consistently within the points. It's just, you know, there's a lot of competitive teams out there in the league, and you know, if you're not at the top of the points in the race days, you can't really go up. It's pretty cruel for them. And yeah, the likes of Bolin, Tom Robbo and Jensen are just on another level, consistently at the top all the time, and this has been a great little battle from them. Great to see all three of them at the top. It's what we've wanted to see. A very close championship, and let's see the last 5 laps now. Will this order change? Jensen with 1 at 2s. Also saved a bit of ERS, which is great for him. Let's see if he can get back up to first. Potentially we could have another 3 wide moment going into turn 1. I thought Joey was about to go for a move then on Jensen, but he backs out of that one. Black Box actually goes for a move on Ewan. They're now going side by side through turns 2 and 3. Ewan gets a bit of a switchback. And Chalk has just spun, coming out of turn 13. Let's have a look at Black Box, so yeah, can't get the switchback out of there. And it's Ewan who's in P9, and very close to the back of Harmon as well. So yeah, here we are back at the front then. Tom Robbo always been close to the back of the car in front of him, and yeah, as we expect, it's a DRS train. There's not much to really say about it. He must stay on the back of Bolin though, because Jensen's only just behind him. Andrea, I think, has just made an overtake on Noah, who might have had a moment coming out of turn 13. Let's have a look then at the front of the field. I believe Jensen's actually going to go for the overtake on Tom Robbo here, who now goes on the overtake on Bolin. And they're going side by side. Jensen to sit out of it all to try and get the better exit as Tom Robbo and Bolin touch. And now here they are then, as Jensen gets the better exit on Tom. Bolin moves to the inside to defend. Tom Robbo on the outside. Bolin touches him again, and the order stays the same. There might have been some more contacts just heard as well at the back, and there's Chalkers up again at turn 13, I believe. Yeah, that's very unfortunate for him. You and Harmon are now battling now. and I believe Ewan has got ahead of Harmon there. As oh no, that's Tito, who's gone pretty wide there, out of turn 10, and he loses both positions, and he's going to lose another one to black box as well, so that's not a great corner in the straight for Tito, as he goes down from P7 to P10. It's now Ewan who's up into P7, and Tito goes wide again. I think he's got a lot of understeer, his tyres beginning to go from beneath him. Jensen might be going for another move on Tom Robbo here. We'll quickly interrupt that battle with the battle for the lead in the podium spots. We'll have a look at Joey, who is getting so close, but I reckon there is a bit of a dilemma in his mind whether to go and attack Jensen, potentially take out a championship contender, or just stick behind and settle for P4. But Joey is a racing driver, a pretty good one, I guess, and he's not going to settle for P4. He wants a podium, so he'd love a race win as well. But yeah, he's not been able to get past Jensen as of yet. Currently Tom Robbo just here on the back of Bolin. See what he can do. So he's got a full battery. His ERS, it's in the 90s, nearly hitting 100 actually. I'd assume he was coming out of that corner. And yeah, he's in a very good position this time, Robbo. If he can just keep Jensen behind him, he's got a lot of ERS to attack and defend with if he can get past Bolin. But also Jensen is very close now, so I reckon he could go for a move onto the straight. If he gets a good exit, I think he gets an alright one, I suppose. Steph gets a 3-second time penalty, and Jensen, yeah, just isn't quite close enough to overtake Tom Robbo there. And he'll have to wait until the lap, and the final lap after that. Let's say, yeah, Tito has retired from the session in the pit lane. I think he won't going to get points, so he's called it a day on that one. I think Jensen might have made a bit of an error there. He's lost some ground on Bolin and Tom Robbo, so we'll have to see as they come into the penultimate lap of the race. It's the most important laps of the season. It could change it for everyone. Black Box gets a 3-second time penalty now, and I believe, is that Artemella, or it might be Tito's car coming out the pit lane actually, it's causing this yellow flag. Hopefully they get out of the way before this trio of cars come through for the penultimate lap. Tom Robbo very close to the back of Bolin. We've actually seen them collide once before as well in the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. And yeah, that was a very difficult point of the season as Chalkers gets the fastest lap of the race. Now Bolin moves to the fend. Tom Robbo uses a bit of ERS, he's now on the outside, but chooses to stay behind Bolin so we can get the DRS, I'd assume. We'll see what Jensen can do now, because obviously he's come to the back of Tom Robbo. But yeah, Tom Robbo is going to stay behind for the time being. Harmon and Black Box are now fighting. I suppose Black Box's tyres are probably going to go off as Black Box move to the inside, and going into turn 4, Black Box is maybe going to get ahead of Harmon. Yeah, he will. But yeah, we'll go to the front as Joey and Andrea are actually battling here for P4, and Andrea sends it down the inside. Joey just about, they both get DRS, but yeah, I'm not sure if Andrea will be in the DRS of Jensen now. So it is a fight for the 3 championship contenders at the front. Bolin's in the lead, but he's going to have Tom Robbo and Jensen charging behind him to try and get through. And let's see who will get the better exit, whose feet Actually, I don't know if Bolin's on pad, but whose limbs are going to be trembling as they go on to the final lap then of this race. Let's see, Tom Robbo's going to be draining the battery. Will he do some tactics to try and wait for the DRS? And yeah, he does. He revs out that 7th gear. Can he get a good exit now? Coming out of turn 1 and 2. Coming into turn 3. Don't touch the curb too much. You get a bit of oversteer just like that. Now Bolin moves to cover the inside. Tom Robbo on the inside there. Sticks his nose up. Oh, that was close. I thought they were about to make more contact in the final lap of the race. And Tom Robbo stays behind Bolin for the time being. Bolin survived one attack from Tom Robbo. Does he have enough ERS and determination to survive another one? Both of them get a bit of oversteer out of that corner. Now one of the most important corners on the track where so much time can be gained or lost. And I think Bolin does actually get a very good exit, and that could be it unless Tom Robbo gets a very good run. He has a lot of ERS compared to Bolin, who was actually derating there, and he's into single figures now of ERS, sorry. And Tom Robbo is not close enough, and I think Bolin might have this one wrapped up as Tom Robbo spun! He's lost the car, and that's the big moment. It's now Jensen moves up into P2. Bolin's going to win the race, and Jensen in P2. Bolin comes across the line to win the Bahrain Grand Prix. Jensen comes home in P2. Andrea is in P3. Joey P4. I think Tom Robbo is going to finish. Oh, he doesn't even finish P5. It's Noah in P5. Tom Robbo in P6. Ewan in P7. Harmon comes home P8. Zane the Ferrari is in 9th. Black Box P10 gets another points finish. Steph in P11. It's going to be Artemello and Chalkers who are going to be coming across the line very shortly. But wow, that is a big moment in the context of the championship. It's so unfortunate for Tom. Maybe just push the car too much to try and get close to Bolin. And sometimes it's just better to settle with the 18 points, and now he's come home with 8, and that could be the end of this championship push, unfortunately for him. I think in fact he probably will be in it, but yeah, it's going to be difficult from here to win. And yeah, that's such a shame for him, because it's looking so good. Say Jensen was going to drop points as well, so all he would have to done is beat Bolin next week, and unfortunately for him he hasn't. We'll just wait for Chalkers to come across the line here. I'm not sure if it was him that got the fastest lap, or no, it was Artemello. So hopefully the Artemello fan club are happy with that one as he finishes P12. But yeah, that's the end to a chaotic Bahrain Grand Prix. It's such a shame as well for Tom, but it is Bolin who wins, and he will go into the lead of the championship, into the final race of the season next week in the Netherlands, the Zandvoort circuit. Do not miss it. It's the biggest race that the league's probably ever had. Grateful to be hopefully sharing it with you as well. And yeah, can't wait for it. It's going to be a crazy race. Hopefully it lives up to the hype like this one did. Yeah, let's just see here. Bolin wins the race from Jensen in P2. Andrea for Aston Martin gets into P3, and I believe gets ahead of Joey. Actually, no, he's 1 point behind Joey in the standings as well. So that's an interesting one to look out for in the battle for P4. Noah finishes P5 ahead of his Red Bull teammate Tom Robbo, who had that spin on the final lap. Ewan's in P7, Harmon in P8, Zane's P9, Black Box P10. That's the points finishes for you. Then Steph, Artemello, Chalkers, and the non-finishers, Tido, TB Hyper, Dara Smith, CPI Daniel, Askicon. And yeah, that's the end of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Chaos at the end. I think the 29 laps lived up to the hype, I would say. And yeah, that's such a shame. I thought it was all done and dusted going into turn 13 that race, and one bad exit, one mistake has unfortunately cost Tom Robbo, and yeah, what a shame for him. But yeah, well, I'm sure he'll be back again next week. Hopefully Everton don't have a too bad a result in the next 45 minutes to cheer him back up. But yeah, he was a champion last season, I believe, and you know, he'll give it his best effort. But yeah, that's the end of this race weekend, this round 7. Next week, round 8. Do not miss it. It's on this YouTube channel, hopefully, fingers crossed. And we'll have Indigo back, hopefully, also, instead of my mug commentating this. Just say I didn't know if I was going to be able to commentate or not, but yeah, hopefully we'll have Indigo back, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.